7 bone-chilling true boardwalk horror stories that haunt you forever. The salty air was thick with mystery as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting eerie shadows over the old boardwalk. The creaking wood whispered secrets of the past, echoing tales of terror long buried under the sands of time. What haunted this seaside escape? What lurked in the dimly lit corners of the funhouse? Stories told by trembling lips claim that on certain nights, the boardwalk came alive with ghostly figures, their hollow eyes searching for something they'd lost or someone. Yet, not a soul dared to linger after sunset, for the grip of fear had a tight hold on anyone who tried to unravel the truth. Among the most spine-tingling tales was that of the Laughing Lady. Locals spoke of her, a spectral figure draped in a tattered white gown, her laughter eerily charming yet drenched in sorrow. Some said they'd seen her sitting alone on a bench, staring out at the sea, waiting for her love who'd vanished under mysterious circumstances decades ago. Others would swear her laughter followed them, a cold caress that sent chills racing down their spines. "You can still hear her at night," an old fisherman whispered, his voice trembling. "If you listen closely, she'll call you. But beware if you reply, she may just come for you." As the night deepened, shadows twisted, and the wind howled like lost souls searching for closure. Whispers of the forgotten carnival echoed through the air, a place rumored to have disappeared into thin air, leaving behind only rusted rides and memories of laughter. Those who dared venture near claimed to hear distant music and the sound of children's laughter. But whenever they approached, the melody faded, leaving only an unsettling silence. "They say the carnival only appears once every 50 years, a young girl recounted, her eyes wide with fear. "But once you go inside, you can never come back out." Lurking just outside the reach of the glowing carnival lights was a chilling truth everyone tried to ignore. Determined to unveil the secrets, a group of thrill-seeking friends decided to test their fate one fateful evening. They had heard stories of strange symbols carved into the very boards of the carnival's entrance, symbols that glowed under the pale moonlight. Each one was a warning, a token belonging to those who had ventured in before them. As they approached the rickety entrance, a bone-chilling wind erupted, throwing dust and old tickets into the air like forgotten spirits. Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads-up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. In that moment, it felt as if the boardwalk itself was alive, trembling under the weight of forgotten stories, urging them to reconsider. With legs shivering but hearts racing, they gripped each other's arms, sending pulses of fear coursing through their veins. They took a deep breath, pushing open the splintered gates. The thrill of the unknown drew them forward, unsettling yet intoxicating. What awaited them behind the veil of this cursed carnival? Would they unearth the secrets buried deep within the shadows, or would they become just another story told in hushed whispers among the living? The answer hung in the air, thick and palpable, like the fog that curled around their feet as they stepped into the unknown. The moment they crossed the threshold, a wave of nausea hit them. The air grew heavier, pungent with the scent of mildew and rotting wood. Dim lights flickered above, illuminating the clown faces that seemed to grin wider in the darkness, their painted smiles capturing the essence of forgotten joy tainted with madness. Each step they took echoed unnervingly across the empty ground, as though the carnival itself was awakening from a long slumber. "What's that sound?" Sarah whispered, her voice a mere tremor. The others strained their ears, trying to break through the oppressive silence that surrounded them. At first, it was nothing but the rhythmic creaking of the ancient rides swaying in the wind. Then, faintly, like the hush of a distant memory, they heard it, the sound of distant laughter. Their hearts raced. It was the kind of laughter that sent shivers down your spine. It felt both innocent and sinister, a twisted mockery of fun that echoed through the gnarled trees surrounding them. The friends exchanged uneasy glances, the thrill rapidly shifting toward dread. Maybe it's just an old recording, Jake suggested weakly, his bravado slipping. He stifled the urge to turn back, but the pull of curiosity threatened to ensnare him further. Would they honestly walk away now, after coming this far? Suddenly, a gust of wind emerged, colder than before, and with it came a chorus of whispers, slithering through the air like venomous serpents. "Leave while you can." The voice was faint but undeniably chilling, sending goosebumps racing over their skin. "Did you hear that?" Lisa blurted out, stepping back, her heart hammering against her ribcage. Then, as if summoned by their fear, the laughter broke out again, this time louder and more raucous, bouncing off the walls of the funhouse. The lights flickered with renewed vigor, casting ghostly shadows that danced insidiously, swirling like wraiths around them. "Guys, we should go," Mia urged, her voice shaking despite her attempts to sound confident. She felt the tug of something unseen at her back, urging her to flee. But just as they turned to retrace their steps, a figure appeared, almost out of nowhere. She was clad in a tattered gown, her long hair tangled and wild, a smile plastered across her face that appeared far too wide. It was the visage of the laughing lady. "Stay and play," she called, her voice dripping with a tantalizing echo. "It's been so long since we've had a visitor." Fear washed over the group as they realized they were no longer alone. A sense of panic enveloped them, clawing at their throats, paralyzing their limbs. The legend was true. Every tale they heard came rushing back, the vanished ones, those who had laughed and played, but had never returned. "Run!" Jake screamed, shoving Mia forward as the figure's gaze pierced through them like daggers. They sprinted deeper into the carnival, unsure of what lay ahead but desperate to escape the twisted grasp of the carnival's dark, insatiable hunger. The laughter echoed behind them, a haunting melody that urged their feet to move faster. Shadows intensified around every corner, crawling closer like the very terror they sought to escape. What awaited them amid the old rides and forgotten attractions? Would they find a way out, or were they destined to join the others? Suddenly, as they rounded a corner, they stumbled upon the Ferris wheel. But this was no ordinary Ferris wheel. Its colorful lights glowed with an unnatural brightness, casting an eerie sheen that beckoned them forward. They were drawn to it, the pulse in the air thickening with each heartbeat. They had a split second to decide. Climb aboard and face whatever horrors awaited, or turn back and risk being captured by the vengeful spirits of the carnival. The choice lay heavy in the air, and as they hesitated, they could feel the shadows closing in. What was the true price of the mystery they sought to unlock? With their hearts pounding louder than the wind, they took a step toward the Ferris wheel, the voice of the laughing lady echoing in their minds. What choice would they make, and what would it cost them? The moment they approached the Ferris wheel, a rush of air enveloped them, thick and humid, as if the carnival itself had exhaled. The lights pulsed in a rhythm that matched their racing hearts. It was hypnotic, drawing them in, and though each of them felt the weight of dread, the allure of the ride was undeniable. "Come on, it'll be fine," Jake said, shaking off the chill that clawed at his spine. But doubt crept in like the shadows around them. "Right?" he added, his voice wavering. They climbed into one of the rusted cars, the metal cold under their fingers. The seat creaked underneath them, as if warning against their choice. Sarah gazed up at the towering wheel and gasped. "Look at it spin." She struggled to sound excited, but it came out strained. As soon as they were settled, the wheel jerked into motion, creaking and groaning like a wounded beast. They were inching higher, and panic clawed at Mia's throat. She wished they could just turn back. Fear wrapped around her like a vice, and adrenaline surged through her veins. "Guys, let us get off." She shouted over the mechanical whir of the wheel, but just then, the lights flickered and dimmed. The laughter that had once seemed distant now echoed around them, reverberating off the metal frame and thrumming against their chests. A kaleidoscope of colors spiraled around as if the very essence of the carnival was intent on trapping them in a trance. As they reached the apex of the Ferris wheel, the view was both stunning and horrific. The carnival sprawled beneath them, a swirling mass of twisted attractions and looming shadows. In stark contrast, the full moon hung high, washing everything in a silver glow. "Look!" Lisa gasped, pointing toward the base of the wheel. Figures emerged from the shadows, flickering in and out of existence, faces twisted in perpetual grins, mouths stretched uncomfortably wide in mockery of the joy they once felt. "They're watching us." The realization rippled among them, like an electric jolt. These were not mere illusions, they were the lost souls, trapped in a carnival that feasted on laughter and terror alike. Suddenly, the wheel jolted. A metal screech pierced the air, and the car swayed. They exchanged terrified glances, and when they looked back down, the figures below were gone, replaced by a thick mist that crawled forward like a living shroud. Panic set in. "We have to get down," Jake insisted, his voice echoing with urgency. He frantically grabbed the rusted bar, trying to dislodge the door, but it would not budge. "No!" Mia cried, a stark terror etched in her eyes. "What if we're stuck here forever? We can't end up like them. We can't." The laughter rose again, a cacophony surrounding them, echoing through the gloom. It felt as if the carnival breathed, inhaling and exhaling with glee, drawing energy from their fears. In that moment, as they clung to each other, something pulsed down in the fog below. A flicker of light caught Mia's attention. "There's something down there," she whispered, her voice trembling. Unbeknownst to them, they were not just witnesses to the spectacle, they had become part of the carnival's sinister game. The wheel began to spin faster, the laughter growing louder, drowning out their words. The world around them became a blur. It was a wild, frenetic whirl that would only end in one of two ways, either freedom or eternal torment. As the terror enveloped them, they fought to keep their focus. "We have to jump!" Jake shouted over the chaos, but the drop seemed further than ever, a dizzying freefall into the unknown. In the midst of the frenzy, Mia locked eyes with Sarah. Would they dare make the leap into terrifying uncertainty? Or would they succumb to the carnival's grasp, trapped forever within its jovial nightmare? The next moment would define their destinies, and as the laughter turned into a sinister crescendo, the grouse of shadows below seemed to beckon them closer. What awaited them on the other side of this harrowing ride? The world below transformed into a roaring abyss, shadows stretching and twisting as the wheel surged faster. Mia felt her heart thumping wildly against her ribcage, matching the frantic tempo of the carnival's malevolent heartbeat. "We can't stay here!" she screamed, terror spiking through her veins. "On the count of 3. Jake yelled, desperation fueling his words. 1, 2, but then a thunderous clang echoed through the night, cutting through the frenetic laughter. The wheel jolted violently, spilling an icy shockwave through each car. The moment was suspended in time as the sound morphed into a low growl, deep, resonant, and undeniably alive. "Jump now!" Jake shouted, his voice nearly swallowed by the chaos. Mia and Sarah exchanged panicked looks, the weight of fear paralyzing them. But as the car dipped, a wave of disorientation crashed over them. With Jake at the helm, they felt his hand grip theirs, urging them to move. They had to fight against the suffocating pull of the carnival. 3. They leapt together, plummeting through the swirling colors and deafening roars. The ground rushed to meet them, a jarring collision that knocked the breath from their lungs. Mia found herself lying on hard, splintered wood, gasping as she blinked against the chaos of lights above. Disoriented, the world snapped back into focus. "Sarah! Where is Sarah?" Panic surged within her as she glanced around. The laughter and screams of the carnival now enveloped them. Fear twisted in her stomach when she noticed Jake, standing at the edge of the platform. Sarah hadn't landed beside them. "Mia!" Jake's voice was frantic. "She's still up there." He pointed back toward the Ferris wheel, and Mia's heart sank. At the very top, silhouetted against the moonlit sky, Sarah hung suspended in space. The wheel had halted, but their friend stared straight ahead, her eyes wide and blank. No, no, she whispered, dread washing over her. before Mia could react, from the depths of the fog below, those grotesque figures appeared again. They flickered, then solidified. Twisted faces with unhinged jaws grinned up at them, a sinister audience to their fear. They want her. Jake shouted, an edge of terror lacing his voice. Mia's instinct screamed at her to run, but her legs felt heavy. Every bone in her body told her to flee, yet her heart was anchored by the sight of Sarah, trapped in a moment of frozen terror. I can't leave her. Mia cried, her voice strained. No. We have to get out. Jake tugged at her, pulling her back. But it was too late. The shadows below swarmed closer. From the thick mist, long hands stretched out, beckoning, inviting, and the cacophony of laughter grew to an unbearable pitch. In that moment, the air crackled with electricity, thick with peril and an unsettling sense of impending doom. Sarah blinked, as if awakening from a trance, looking directly at Mia with tears glimmering in her eyes. Help me please, but in the depths of her gaze, something shifted, and for a brief second, Mia glimpsed fear mix with a shadow of delight. It was chilling. Mia's heart raced as she felt an unseen pull from the shadows, as if the very fabric of the carnival began weaving their fates together. Hold on, Sarah. Mia shouted. But was it too late? The car began spinning again, this time throwing them back into a familiar chaos. All at once, the blurred edges of reality crumbled away. Would they save Sarah, or were they too late, already entwined in the carnival's sinister games? Something deep stirred within the echoes of laughter that promised them freedom or doom. What happens when the line blurs between saving a friend and losing your soul? Jake, we have to do something. Mia's voice broke through the din, filled with urgency as she watched Sarah's weightless form. Every instinct screamed to act, but the shadows tugged at her, pulling at the edges of her mind. I can't just stand here. As if sensing her emotional turmoil, the figures below shifted. They became more animated, swaying like marionettes strung by malevolent strings. One figure, slightly larger than the rest, stepped forward, its grin seemingly carved into its face. She's one of us now, it crooned, the voice thick with menace. Shut up. Jake screamed, his frustration rippling into panic. We can't let her go. With a deep breath that felt like clenching the fabric of reality, Mia stepped closer to the wheel's base. The air felt heavy, pressing against her chest. We'll get you down. She shouted to Sarah, who still hung lifelessly above them. Maybe, it's too late, a raspy voice echoed from below, smothering the carnival's laughter with a bitter chill. Mia's stomach sank. There was no argument against it, the shadows were closing in. Just then, the Ferris wheel shuddered violently, jerking to life and spinning the cars once more. The unharnessed momentum of the ride sent cold sweat racing down Mia's back. She realized the wheel had begun rolling backward, imprisoning Sarah further, pushing her deeper into the maw of those unholy figures below. Hold on, Sarah. Jake yelled, watching helplessly as the distance between them increased. Mia could see her friend's body being swallowed by the shadows. A surge of desperation filled her. She took a step toward the wheel's support beam, instinct telling her the only option left was to confront the horror face to face. We're coming. She shouted. Don't stop. Jake urged, his grip around her wrist a lifeline tethering them to sanity. With his other hand, he waved toward the ride operators, now mere phantoms lost in oblivion, as if they'd vanished the moment they jumped from the wheel. Someone help us. Mia screamed into the cacophony, desperate and wild. We need to save her. The figures below shifted, at first, as if confused, then erupted into laughter that vibrated through the wooden floor beneath her feet. What were they laughing at? Do you think you could save her? The larger figure called, leaning closer, its breath reeking of dampness and decay. You're far too late, little girl. Mia. Jake pulled her back. We can't. But Mia surged forward, feeling an unseen current urging her on. The laughter of the figures erupted louder. It felt like nails dragged along stone. Her mind was ablaze with panic and horror. She couldn't let Sarah slip through their fingers, she needed to act. Summoning a misplaced courage, she shouted, "If you want her, you have to go through us." The laughter faltered, and an eerie silence settled. The grotesque figures paused, and for a moment, Mia sensed a tremor in their wickedness, a hint of uncertainty. Was it fear? Such spirit, the larger figure mused, visibly intrigued. How delightful. Jake's grip tightened, panic painting his features. "Mia! What are you doing?" But she couldn't think about backing down now. It was too late. An idea struck her, a plan formed out of sheer desperation and madness. As she turned to Jake, their eyes connected, she knew he could sense it, too. This wasn't just about them anymore. It was about Sarah. Tension filled the air as she declared, "We'll trade." "What?" Jake's eyes widened. "No. You can't," but Mia's voice rose above the chaos. "We'll give ourselves. Let her go." The shadows stirred, and the grin on the larger figure widened, a gleeful promise mirrored in those twisted faces. In that moment, suspended in a fog of dread, she couldn't tell if she just sealed their fate or offered a chance for survival. "Delightful offer," it hissed, the words wrapping around her like a shroud. But what would it cost them? As the realization washed over her, she glanced back at Sarah, her friend's face now twisted with a blend of hope and terror. Mia felt the grip of fate deepening, a web of choices forming around them. Would they save Sarah or sacrifice themselves? The carnival's laughter swelled, a haunting echo against the backdrop of their uncertain future. What lay ahead was shrouded in shadows, shifting and dark. Each heartbeat echoed louder in her ears, urging her deeper into the darkness. And as the shadows closed in, the question hung in the air: could they escape the grip of the carnival, or was the price already too high? The eerie silence that followed Mia's desperate bargain wrapped itself around them like a thick fog, suffocating and foreboding. The shadows stirred again, pulsating with life, their twisted forms undulating in the dim light. Was this really the moment they had waited for, or had they stepped too far into the abyss? "Have you truly considered the consequences?" The larger figure crooned, its voice now dripping with sinister amusement. A most tempting deal, but the cost! Mia's heart pounded in her chest. She could see the wicked dance in the shadows still lingering over Sarah, her friend's lifeless form caught in a horrific limbo fueled by dread. Each second felt like a lifetime, and every sound around them seemed amplified: the grinding creak of the Ferris wheel, the distant laughter of the shadows, and the frantic beat of her own heart that echoed in her ears. "Let her down!" Jake shouted, desperation clawing at his throat, his resolve faltering. He glanced between Mia and the looming monster, fear contorting his features. "What if they, Jake? I can't just stand by." Mia's voice cracked, her frustration morphing into agony. "This is our only chance. We have to save her." As the shadows loomed closer, the night air grew colder, wrapping around them like cold fingers that tightened with every breath. The figures below exchanged giddy glances, their laughter rising into a cacophony of ominous delight, transforming the carnival atmosphere into something grotesque. Their eyes gleamed in the shadows, reflecting flickers of chaos and despair. Such spirit, the larger figure mused, alive in the face of inevitable fate. "But tell me, precious Mia, what do you propose as your price?" Mia felt a heavy lump in her throat as she opened her mouth, searching for words that would let Sarah go. "Please," she begged, her eyes darting back to their friend suspended above them, "we'll do anything. Just let her down." "Anything?" It leaned closer, the smell of rot and decay wafting through the air, like a putrid bouquet. "You do not yet know the power of that word. Sacrifices must be made. What do you truly cherish?" The amusement in its voice sent shivers through Mia's spine. "Our lives," she said through gritted teeth, "let us go if you release her." Jake's expression morphed from panic to betrayal. "Mia, no. You can't," but she could feel the urgency clawing at her insides. The shadows danced, pulsing with an eagerness that held a dark promise. Their laughter crescendoed like a sinister symphony, echoing through the maelstrom of chaos. "What are you willing to give?" The larger figure's voice slithered through the air, tempting and twisted. "Tell me your heart's secrets, and if they are worth anything, you shall see your friend freed." Mia hesitated, flooding her thoughts with questions. Would they barter their very souls? Was freedom really so close, or was it just another cruel illusion? "I'll give," she hesitated, finding the words almost too heavy to breathe out. Summoning strength, she whispered, "I'll give my memories, all my happiest thoughts, the warmth of my laughter, take it all if you release her." The shadows stilled, curiosity flickering in their gleaming eyes. "Memories," the figure echoed, savoring the word, stretching the moment until it became unbearable. "So selfless, but can you bear the weight of losing your past?" After all, it leaned in closer, and Mia could see its grin widen, revealing jagged teeth that gleamed like knives. "There are always consequences for every thought left behind is a shadow you may never reclaim." A cold sweat trickled down Mia's back, terror and resolute bravery colliding within her. What would it mean to forget her happiest memories? Could she really sacrifice them for Sarah? And would that even work? Jake's hand tightened around her wrist, pulling her back. "No, Mia. Don't do this." His voice was thick with anguish, but Mia could feel the darkness closing in, wrapping her and Jake in a web of despair. If they didn't act now, it would be too late. Sarah was slipping further away. Each moment spent negotiating pulled her deeper into the void. "Make your choice," the figure taunted, shadows swirling in anticipation, almost palpable with hunger for sacrifice. As Mia stood at the precipice of uncertainty, fear gripping her heart, a flicker of hope sparked. If they could save Sarah, perhaps they could find a way to fight back against whatever this carnival represented. Could they turn the tide against the shadows? What would they risk to reclaim their friend, and at what cost? The looming question hung like a noose around their throats. Would Mia's price be worth it, or would the shadows devour them all? As the carnival's laughter echoed ominously, they had moments to decide, and every heartbeat counted. "Time is slipping, dear ones," the larger figure taunted, its voice curling like smoke, dark and profound. "Tick-tock goes the clock, can you sense her fading, drifting into the abyss?" Mia's heart dropped. Every passing second felt like sand slipping through her fingers. She couldn't let fear paralyze her now, not when Sarah was so close yet so far, suspended in a horrific limbo. "Just tell me what to do," Mia pleaded, shaking off Jake's grip with newfound determination. "I'll give anything. Just let me save her." The shadows seemed to shiver with delight at her desperation. They swirled around Mia and Jake, their touch icy against their skin, drawn into their fear. Such delicious desperation. "But you are playing a game you do not yet comprehend." The figure leaned closer. "What if we bring a little more clarity to your precious bargain?" Mia felt her stomach knot. "What do you mean?" "Your memories." The figure's grin widened, grotesque and gleeful. "They can be more than just sweet little recollections. They can also be dark, torturous things. Are you sure you want to part with them so readily?" A chill swept over the breathless air. Memories surged in Mia's mind, both joyful and painful. The laughter of her father, the warmth of summer afternoons, but also the shadows of her past, the loneliness that wrapped her like a shroud. Each cherished moment was tied to pieces of pain. Could she truly let them all go? "Mia, no." Jake's voice was strained, a desperate whisper. "You can't sacrifice everything. We'll find another way." But the shadows molded around him, absorbing his fear, leaving him trembling. Mia ripped her gaze from his eyes, feeling the shadows tighten around her. They were growing impatient, coiling like serpents ready to strike. She shivered as the carnival's laughter grew louder, circling them like a predator eager for its prey. "Make your choice, little one," the figure teased, the dark glee echoing in the air. "Sacrifice your brightest days and darkest nights, or watch your friend disappear forever. Which will you choose?" Every heartbeat felt amplified, thudding in her ears like a war drum. "No!" she shouted, clenching her fists, anger mixing with fear. "I won't lose her. Not like this. There has to be another way." The figure's laughter pierced through her resolve. "Your naivete is charming. But the truth remains, sacrifice is the key to rescue. What will you pay?" "The darkness grows hungry." "Shut up," Mia whispered, trembling as pictures of Sarah played in her mind, their shared laughter, the late-night conversations, the unwavering loyalty. Could she really put all of that at stake? Suddenly, a flicker of inspiration ignited inside her. "Let's change the game," she shouted, startling herself as the words charged through the void. "What if I offer you something different? Something deeper?" "Ah, intriguing." The larger shadow curled its lips, curiosity pricking its interest like a bee on honey. "What can your fragile soul possibly offer? What do you truly possess that could pique my interest?" Mia hesitated, a storm of desperation and determination raging within her. "I'll trade my fear." Laughter erupted around her, an uproar of glee that dizzyingly echoed in the night. "Your fear?" The monster's eyes flickered with delight. "An empty offer. What power lies in a heart without dread?" "No," Mia insisted, feeling the resolve gather in her chest, "my fear holds my past, shapes my choices. If I'm fearless, I can confront the darkest corners of this twisted carnival. And I'll do it to save Sarah." The shadows fell silent, and Mia felt a crackle of uncertainty spill through the air. They were confused, but their interest piqued, though clinging to hope, dread danced within her. Could it work? Would the darkness accept her gamble? Time stood frozen in that heartbeat, a fragile moment teetering on the edge of despair and hope. Would she be brave enough to face whatever consequences lay ahead? "Make it so," the figure hissed, leaning closer, its jagged teeth glistening under the pale light. "But remember, fear is not easily shed. To be fearless is to invite another." Darkness. As the shadows began to swirl around her, Mia felt the weight of her decision crush her. Everything hinged on that one thin thread. What would happen next? In this sinister game of shadows, would she find freedom, or plunge deeper into darkness? The carnival's laughter echoed once more, a promise of chaos lingering in the air. What awaited her on the other side when the pact was sealed? The world spun around Mia as the shadows tightened their grip, her surroundings blurring into a dark whirlpool of chaos. She was no longer sure if she was standing on solid ground or fading into the encroaching void. The figure's voice breathed through the air, raspy and echoing, "Let us see what your newfound courage can salvage." Mia's heart pounded, loud and desperate, as she fought to cling to the rising dread within her. She felt the shadows begin to pull at her memories, tugging at the fabric of her identity. Faces she loved flickered before her, her father's warm smile, Sarah's laughter ringing like chimes in the wind. Each memory was a thread, intertwining, threatening to unravel. "Hold on!" Jake's shout cut through the confusion. He was locked in a battle of his own, struggling against the tendrils of darkness that draped around him. Mia's heart twisted at the sight of him, his bravery flickering like a candle in the wind. If she accepted the terms of this grotesque agreement, would she lose him too? Bargain made, fear cast aside, the larger shadow continued, slithering around her as it spoke. Its voice changed, lilting into something softer, something sinister. "What a tangled web we weave. Let us see how fearless you truly are." Suddenly, she felt an electric surge through her. It was overwhelming, first paralyzing, and then liberating. The fear that had once clouded her mind started to dissipate, replaced by a startling clarity. But with it came a haunting emptiness, a void that echoed with what she had given up. She gasped, struggling to breathe, feeling lighter yet heavier. "Can you feel it?" the figure whispered, its breath like ice. "The absence of dread? The power it brings?" "Yes," Mia shouted, gaining strength as the realization sank in. "But I want to let you own me. You can take my fear, but I'll fight back with my hope." The laughter exploded again, echoing off the grimy carnival walls. It was mockery laced with intrigue, and the shadows paused, intrigued. Hope, you say? The creature mused, curiosity sharpening its edges. What makes you think you can harness such a fragile thing? As if on cue, Mia's thoughts turned to Sarah. Her best friend stood at the forefront of her mind, a beacon of light in this dark hell. Mia envisioned Sarah's smile, the unwavering support she had always offered. The warmth of their friendship began to ignite something within her, pushing back against the cold clutch of shadows, but as Mia focused on that warmth, she felt the darkness shift around her. It was suffocating, hungry. The carnival's laughter grew frantic, echoing in twisted mockery of her resolve. You think hope is enough? How naive. The shadows demand balance. Mia. Focus. Jake shouted, breaking through the chaos. Tap into that hope. It's stronger than they know. You can do it. She remembered the times they had faced fears together, how they had supported one another. Clenching her fists, she narrowed her focus. I won't just accept your conditions. I'll redefine them. With every ounce of strength, she pulled from her memories and infusions of courage the moments of joy, the shared laughter, the loyalty that had weathered storms together. Each memory burned brighter in her mind, illuminating the dark corners of terror. Watch as I weave my own threads, hope intertwined with fearless resolve. She shouted, feeling a pulse of power surge through her. The shadows recoiled, twisting violently, as if her declarations were blades slicing through darkness. The air vibrated with energy, a clash of courage against the darkness that sought to consume her, but with this newfound strength came a chilling realization: the darkness had only been stirred. In the depths of this sinister carnival, the shadows were uncertain, but they wouldn't retreat easily. As the shadows erupted in fury, clawing to reform and strike back, Mia braced herself. Would her gamble pay off? Or would she be dragged down further into the abyss she had sought to escape? The laughter shifted, morphing into an unsettling howl that mingled with Sarah's faint calls for help. Every passing second tightened the tension, and the stakes grew ever higher. Would she be victorious, or would the carnival's darkness win? The answer loomed just beyond reach, like a shadow lurking in wait. What horrors would she face next in this terrifying game? The shadows roiled and twisted, pulling at Mia like a tempest threatening to consume her whole. She stood, heart racing, breath coming in jagged bursts as they lunged forward. The air crackled, thick with desperation and fury. Focusing on the flickering hope that had ignited within her, Mia pushed against the impending darkness. Together, Jake! She yelled, pooling their strength. But as she glanced over, she saw him still struggling, his eyes wide with terror. Panic threatened to grip her as she realized how much he needed her too. Then, the figure before her reshaped itself, monstrous yet alluring. It wove through the shadows, a distillation of fear personified, whispering promises that dripped with deceit. You cannot fight forever, Mia. Its voice dripped with an unsettling calm. There is no hope here. No light to be found. Shut up! Mia screamed, her voice matching the chaos swirling around them. You don't know what we have. Though the figure contorted, expression shifting with each word, Mia felt her resolve harden. From deep inside, she summoned the memories that had once filled her with warmth, the sound of laughter, the gentleness of friendship, the moments that had shaped who she was. Every laugh, she declared defiantly, every hug is my shield. You'll never take that from me. The darkness hissed, recoiling for a brief moment, but its instability took on a new form as tendrils began to wrap around her wrists. The more she fought, the more ferocious it became. A swirling, choking grip tightened around her throat, cutting her words short. Mia! Jake shouted, straining against the shadows pulling at him. You have to focus on us. Images of laughter faded, replaced by visions of despair creeping in. What if she had to choose? What if the shadows demanded the very thing she fought to protect? A pit of anxiety roiled in her stomach. No! She screamed, trying to break through the suffocating grip. I won't choose between us. We're stronger than this. Strength? The entity mocked with a cackle that resonated through the chaos. Strength is what you must sacrifice to gain power here. How long can you hold on to that fragile connection? The laughter echoed, distorting into a nightmarish collage of familiar voices. Her father S, Jake S, Sarah S, each twisted and darkened. They morphed into wails of despair, ripping through her sanity. Stop. Please. Echoes of her plea filled the air as her vision wavered. Shadows seeped into her memories, trying to drown her in sorrow, but there was something new, a flicker of light pushing through the gloom surrounding her. A warmth that started to unfurl inside her chest. The thought of Sarah's unwavering belief, of the times they had banded together against their fears, sent a jolt through her like lightning. With renewed fervor, she yelled, "You have no power over me. I choose to believe in love, in hope, and in my friends." The shadows shuddered, writhing in pain, and she felt their grip on her weaken for the briefest of moments. "No. You must give in." The figure screamed, but her energy surged like a tidal wave. With one final roar, she drew upon everything she had, a tide of memories and emotions that burst forth brighter than the darkest shadows. The shadows shrieked, their laughter turned to rage as they grasped desperately for Mia. Then, from the culmination of her hope, a blinding light erupted, pushing the shadows back, leaving them shrieking in disarray. But as Mia felt the warmth suffuse her body, she could see the dark figure dissolve, its eyes glinting with something more sinister. "We shall meet again," it whispered, its voice echoing even as it faded into the darkness. A shiver ran down Mia's spine as she turned to Jake, panting heavily. She could feel the weight of uncertainty hanging thick in the air. Had she truly won? Or had she only bought some time in this dangerous game? Suddenly, a deafening crash resonated from the carnival's heights, drawing their attention. There, silhouetted against the eerie glow of twisting lights, ominous shapes began to materialize, mysterious and menacing figures that emerged from deep within the shadows. What new horrors awaited Mia and Jake in a world that hungered to devour them both? The shadows receded, but Mia and Jake could feel the remnants of the carnival's power lingering in the air. Dread curdled in the depths of their chests as new threats emerged from the undulating darkness. The Ferris wheel creaked ominously, and the laughter morphed into a discordant symphony, hinting at the chaos that awaited. "Where's Sarah?" Mia asked, her voice trembling, a knot forming in her throat. She expected to see her friend soaring down on the wheel, gliding into safety at this moment, but only echoes remained. Jake stared up, horrified. "We need to go back. We have to get her." His words pitched an urgent plea that sparked in Mia's heart, but before they could make a move, twisted figures materialized before them, grotesque and grinning wide. They mirrored the fear-deepened shadows that had haunted them moments before, leaving no doubt they were remnants of their terror. Each contorted face was painted with a grotesque smile, eyes gleaming with hunger. "Are you here for a show?" one figure announced, its voice dripping with mocking glee, "or perhaps a willingly doomed reunion?" "No. Let us go. We're not scared of you." Mia shot back, her heart pounding fiercely as they stood side by side against the looming threats. But doubt crept in. Could her burst of light against the dark have merely been a fleeting moment? Laughter erupted as they circled closer, the pulsating chaos energizing the air around them. But Mia breathed deeply, grounding herself on the friendship that had brought her this far. "We can't give up, Jake. We still have hope." Suddenly, a familiar sound echoed through the air, Sarah's voice. "Mia. Help." Fear and desperation pierced through Mia's heart. Sarah's call for help, muffled by the clamor of laughter, ignited a fire within her. "Focus on her." Mia urged Jake, "We need to find a way to save Sarah." With renewed urgency, they rushed back toward the Ferris wheel, determined to confront the carnival and reclaim their friend. The sinister figures sneered, blocking their path with twisted limbs as the carousel of inherent danger spun wildly. Shadows danced, casting eerie shapes that threatened to engulf them both. "It's too late. She'll join us soon," one figure taunted, reaching out with grimy hands. But deep down, Mia felt the power of their bond surge, a chain of hope binding them together. She couldn't lose Sarah. Not now. Not ever. We're coming for you, Sarah. She shouted as they pressed forward, shoving through the flock of haunted souls that stood between them and the Ferris wheel. The swirling chaos of laughter heightened, a cacophony of madness, but their determination broke through. Rocking into the wheel's base, they piled into the operator's booth, searching for any mechanism to reverse the dreadful spin. What do we do? Jake asked, a touch of panic tinging his voice. Find a lever. Mia directed, tearing her gaze away from the chaos as she flung open the controls panel. Wires tangled like snakes under her fingertips, conduits echoing remnants of long-dormant power, rhythms of swirling light sparked as she flipped switches, each pull illuminating the deep, hidden recesses of the carnival. A wind howled outside, a desperate cry reaching for them as shadows clawed at the walls. Come on. Come on. Jake urged, a depth of urgency in his voice that at last. She grasped one lever and yanked it down. The Ferris wheel screeched against rusty metal, shifting into motion, spinning backward as thunder rippled through the air. The figures recoiled at the unsettling noise, apparitions of their fears distorting around them. Help! I'm slipping. Sarah's voice sliced through the turmoil, echoing off the carnival walls. In a heartbeat, everything snapped into focus. Mia rushed back outside, hoisting herself upward as the Ferris wheel finally reoriented, shining down on them like a beacon. I'm coming. With dread threading through each heartbeat, she climbed further, adrenaline fueling her ascent. Shadows lashed out but found her newly reclaimed light, a warm warmth glowing like embers amid her shifting memories they could have no hold on her now. Hold on, Sarah. I'm almost there. Mia screamed, reaching into the depths as she fought through the lingering dark tendrils. Sis. I need a hand. Sarah's voice cracked, her grip weakening, the insidious spirits below whispering promises of despair as they tried to pry her from the safety above. Mia reached out her hand just as their fingers touched Sarah's eyes wide, full of fear and hidden strength. Take my hand. Mia urged, their connection propelling them both forward. I want to let you go. Breathless determination surged as Sarah clung to Mia. But just as they were about to escape, the shadows struck, grasping at Sarah's legs, clawing at the tears of reality. No! Jake yelled, lunging forward to grab Sarah's other hand. The shadows shrieked, momentarily pulled back by their united force. Together. They shouted, voices combining into a strong chord piercing through the chaos surrounding them. With one final push, they yanked Sarah free as the Ferris wheel jerked with mighty force, illuminating that loving bond burning brightly in the carnival's shadowy night. They landed in a heap, breathless yet alive, an unwavering band of friendship amidst the darkness. Behind them, the carnival itself shuddered, the shadows receding as the figures disintegrated into wisps of despair, a ghastly moan drifting away with the wind. As they hoisted themselves up, sweat-soaked and trembling, a moment of relief washed over them, cascading like soft moonlight through their turbulent hearts. They had survived, but the shadowy whispers did not necessarily vanish, they merely lay dormant, waiting in the recesses of the carnival's depth. Mia turned to Sarah, meeting the glimmer of gratitude and solidarity in her friend's eyes. We did it. You're safe, but it's still here, Sarah added, glancing back at the rising darkness. Jake nodded. We can't let it keep feeding off fear, or it'll be back. We've got to end it once and for all. The shadows won't forget, neither can we, Mia replied, eyeing the darkness that swayed ominously. But we can fight. Together. A flicker of hope ignited once more. As they sprinted from the carnival's heart, laughter clinging to the night, they vowed to stand together against whatever haunted their town. The boardwalk no longer felt cursed, it felt alive, full of promise. With the dawn creeping over the horizon, they set out to forge a new path free from fear, a tapestry woven with their light and bravery, an experience they would never forget. The carnival may have taken from them, but it also forged an unbreakable bond, a union carved in the flames of resilience. Though the shadows lingered just beyond their sight, the trio knew they had the power to keep dark tides at bay. Together. And that knowledge cast the longest shadow of all, one that could forever be lit by the memories of laughter echoing into the dawn. Now, this thrilling conclusion has pulled you into the heart of their journey. If you don't want to miss any other terrifying tales like this, you need to subscribe now. Smash that like button, it really helps me feed the algorithm and keep bringing you the best stories. Flood the comments with your reactions. Tell me what you thought about the ending and your favorite moments. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how this adventure unfolds. Let us keep this thrilling community alive together.